myself muted. It should be fixed now. Yeah, I had it muted earlier and I forgot to unmute it. I show that I'm unmuted in Streamlabs. Oh no! Perfect. Okay, let me just go all the way back over again. I'll mute myself again on Discord. Okay. Alright, so, hi, my name is Colin. I am a local full-stack developer here. Most of you probably knew me as Brendan, but I recently changed my name. But yeah, I gave a talk about 6-ish months ago going over Stripe, and some basic things that you can do with it when it comes to either managing your own business, or creating an online marketplace, or say you need to invoice clients and using Stripe for that. I'm going to be expanding a little bit upon that, more on what I talked about last time, but also today we're going to be going over more information on how to set up payments between more than two parties. So say you're in an instance where, oh yeah, I have this client, but this client does business, but they also want to do business with other people and collect payments on behalf of others. There's a bunch of different use cases for it, and we'll get into it there. But if you have any questions at any point, feel free to ask in the Twitch chat, or if you're in the room, just let Tiffany know. You can either pop in Discord or pass the messages to me. So yeah,
just a few
let's
of you, but
get started.
Today's going to be live coding. So I'm going to attempt to write the software in front of you.
I'm Colin. I'm a local full stack developer. Work a lot with Firebase regarding the authentication system and its cloud messaging. I also do a lot of backend API development as well as front-end development implementations from both web and mobile. But primarily web is what I focus on. So we're gonna breeze through these slides really quick. So we've already, if you were here at my last talk, we've already gone over these. But as a basis for Stripe is a payment infrastructure for allowing developers and businesses to start accepting payments for services. They take all of the burden of having to figure out, oh, I need to have this payment processor. Now I gotta have all these different levels of security. Stripe handles all of the security and everything for that. All you have to do is implement their API with very simplistic API keys. It's really simple and easy to use. A lot of companies online actually use Stripe for their services, ranging from Google to Slack to Shopify, Lyft, Instacart. All of them use Stripe as their payment processor and all of their services. So Stripe is more than, kind of alluded to it already, but Stripe is a lot more than just payment processing. They can do invoicing for if you're a small business and you need to send an invoice to services you've done. They provide that. Their most commonly used product is going to be their payment system. Subscription management, system as well, that ties into the payment system. If you do in-person transactions, they have in-person payment processing that can be done. They've got fraud protection. They've got identity verification. And if you're a startup, you pay them a fee and they will help you set up your whole business. They'll help you found your LLC or L Corp or however you want to set up your business things. And then the big thing that we're going to be focusing on today is that third-party / multi-party payment platform called Connect. A lot of different features in it. It can be very overwhelming, but today we're just kind of going to do a brief overview of the different ways you can use it and implement it from a coding perspective. I'm going to go ahead and skip over the pricing and all this stuff because it doesn't really matter for this presentation. All of their pricing and stuff is online. It's fairly affordable, really competitive compared to other processors. Most payment processors nowadays have roughly the same fees. So yeah, last time we covered basic payment processing, some product management, some invoice generation, and setting up the Stripe API. But tonight ahead and review the code that we made last time in my previous talk, and then I'm going to answer some questions about Stripe and Stripe Connect. We're going to set up Stripe Connect for ourselves in Stripe, and then we're going to take that and create our own platform that will take a set fee from every transaction and send it back to us, the platform, while allowing those third parties to take the majority of the payment. And again, that's just one of the many ways that can be, but that's particularly how we will be doing it. Give me just a second to change my screens while I get the slide deck closed. Just a second. All right. All right, so this is kind of where we left off last time. We created a product that had a variable price on it. We did a base subscription that costs $5 a month, or no, I think it was $5. I think we set it up for $5 a week, and then we set up a product that costs $13. So today I'm going to go ahead and take us into the Stripe backend API, or Stripe backend console, so we can take a little bit of a look at that setup for those who weren't here last time, and we'll get going. So Stripe is really convenient with letting us be able to, if you're not a technical user and you don't want to have to set up a bunch of API work and a bunch of databases for managing all your products and things, you can manage it all here. We actually have our 3 different products in here. We have our base product that's, we have a price model at $13. And then we've got a base subscription of $5. We've set this up so that the, I believe every week. Yeah, the interval is set to weekly. It's actually been, because I'm using the same account as last time, it's technically been active since the last time we ran this presentation, or we did the first half of the presentation. But yeah, so in order to get started with Stripe Connect, you're going to want to go over to the Connect tab. I already have some stuff that I did in here. So from a new account perspective, all we're going to do is I'm just going to call this test demo. Your address can be associated with multiple different Stripe accounts, whether that be personal ones or one for your business or one for clients. You can create as many as you need access to. All of the accounts have a live mode and a demo mode, or a test mode. The key is separate from both, but you can only have one test mode per project, which is why I've created the second one. So we're going to go in here to Stripe Connect. We're going to say get started, and then we're going to say we're a platform or marketplace. And so this kind of like gives us the first, a little bit on this, kind of gives us a little bit of the intro to the different things. So Lyft uses Connect for accepting payments from drivers. One thing, I don't think it's listed here, but I can't remember which one of the delivery platforms, like food delivery platforms, I think it's Postmates that uses Stripe, or at least publicly uses Stripe. Postmates the ability for their drivers, if it's not a restaurant that's directly partnered with them, they will give the drivers an actual debit card they can use as a part of Stripe Connect. Not only is this how they pay their drivers, but that's also how they're able to pay for the food that they buy. So yeah, so we've got started here. Some things that we'll want to do is actually manage our settings right off the bat. There's a bunch of different ways you could use Stripe. The two main ones though. There is the standard version of Stripe Connect, which will give any Connect accounts that you create, they will have full access to the Stripe dashboard just like you do. It'll just be there with all of their information. It won't have any of yours. So that's typically ideal for marketplaces, things like where the person on the other end is going to be managing their own products and managing their own payments, but you're providing them the platform to be able to do that. What we will actually be focusing on today is Stripe Connect. It's a very broken down dashboard. It does not have nearly as much in it. They can just manage some basic things about themselves and how they actually receive their payments. Express is typically used for those things like Lyft and DoorDash and Uber Eats and all those things. Express is the account type that's used. So within Express, we have a different options. One of the really nice thing about Stripe is that if we are, in this case, we're going to allow them to collect payments, we can actually handle all of the tax information automatically for us, so that every single year at the very end of the year when tax season rolls around, your company doesn't have to worry about figuring out all forms for all of these different platforms or employees or contractors under you that are using Stripe Connect. Stripe will automatically out a printed out or email them a link so that they can print out their 1099 forms and whatever tax forms they need for the year. It's very nice. They can it's got 1099K, 1099 miscellaneous for those different options. There is the option for you to actually mail those out, but that does cost money on top of the fees that you're already collecting as a platform per Connect account. But that's not something we're going to worry about today. You can, just like you can in your own Stripe, you can manage all of the different ways to pay. But in our instance, let me go back to our test demo, or the one we're going to be using today. Our configuration for Connect, I believe, is just going to be locked down to accepting payments with credit cards and ACH. These are the only two methods we're going to support for our Connect accounts for them to be able to actually process payments. So yeah, that's that. What we're going to be doing today, let me actually over here. I have it. Let me pull up the finished version of this really quick. All right, so here at the very end, what we're going to be going over is how, from an API side, how we can create these Stripe Connect accounts, how we can then provide access to those members that we've created, how they can access their own dashboards to manage their accounts. And then we're also have two different things. One, we're going to be setting up a way for us to generate invoices on behalf of those Connect accounts, as well as adding all of the products that you see here. So it'll be that dynamic product and that base product to a cart to allow someone to check out on our platform, but allow the actual Connect accounts to get the payment. One thing I will mention here, while going over it, you can do the exact same thing with subscriptions, where you can set it up on your side for subscriptions, and then they get paid every single from the subscription that your platform is collecting. But for the sake of time and brevity, we will not be going to all of it. These are all just going to be one way you can do all of these different things. It is very much something you can very freely configure. There's a lot of customization, even with Express, on what you can do to collect your payments. This is not the only way to do it. This is just the way we're doing it for the sake of time. So let me go ahead and this and go back to our code. So does anyone have any questions on everything I've gone over so far? Because I know that might have been a lot, kind of running through the side of things. So does anyone have any questions? And I'm going to wait a minute, because there is a very fun delay between the Twitch stream and where I'm at. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my cheat sheet code. Where is it? I'll message you Tiffany really quick. If there's not, I'm gonna go ahead and keep on going. It's a bit weird not being in the room, but it is what it is. Let me just move this over here. All right. All right, perfect. Let's keep going. So first off, let's go ahead and go into our service. So I cleaned up the code a little bit since last time. We actually have a proper API controller this time. Like last time, everything being really, really old MVC formatted. Let me make sure it's running. Here we go. All right. So, let me put the link in chat, but if anyone wants to follow along with what we're doing, I have a link. Let me just make sure it works. I am putting it in Twitch chat as well as in the Discord if you would like to follow along. This is a link directly to my local environment. Please don't try and break it while I'm breaking it. It'll just take you to the web. You'll see the exact same thing in my web as I am if I am in my editor and you want to check to see what's going on web or try it out for yourself. So first I'm going to go ahead and open Swagger and do the things that we did previously. We've got an API call to get all of our products. How that works is we just call the Stripe product service and we just tell it to get us a list. It's fairly simplistic. Same thing for if we want to get a price of a product, we pass in the exact product and we can get that back. I don't think there's anything else we really need to go over here that's too terribly complex with the stuff we went over last time. So let's go ahead and get started with actually adding in the ability to create a new Connect account. So in this instance, we're going to create a new, I'm just going to put this on for if we want to test it via Swagger. So we're going to create a new method on here. This is going to be called from our controller, create a new Connect account. And on this, in order for us to create the Connect account, all we need is the email address. There is a bunch of things that it'll be asking us that I'll walk us through when we actually go to fill out the form. But here you can actually pre-fill in a ton of information. So say you are, say you've already like onboarded information, like say you needed to do like a background check on the individual before you actually started opening the account with them. You can then pass all the information that you collected while you were doing that background check so that when the user gets to the point of actually setting up this account, they don't have to double enter the information. It's really nice and convenient. That extends all the way to supplying like copies of their ID if you have that system, because one of the things that's required by Stripe in actual accounts is you have to provide proof of identification you live in. In the United States, that just functions off of a driver's license or a government-issued ID. In other countries, it supports whatever national identification is. So here we're going to call that new account service, and we're going to say to create a brand new account with the following options. This is going to be an Express account. Here is we actually specify if we wanted to create a custom account or use the standard account that's built in that has that full dashboard. But because we don't want them to have a full dashboard, it's going to be Express. We're operating, this person is going to be operating out in the United States. And then we need to actually email address. So we're going to add the parameter there of email. And then on here, we just set their email to be the variable we passed into here. And then here's where the fun bit gets started. So in order for you to actually start receiving payment as the Connect account, we have to tell Stripe that they need certain permissions. So in this case, we need to allow them to accept card payments so that they can create those. We can create those invoices on their behalf and they get paid. So we're going to say, hey, I want you to be able to accept new payments. And we're saying yes to Stripe. We are requesting that. And then also we want to be able to transfer them money. So whenever we as the platform collect money on their behalf, we want to please send that to them. So let's request both of these things. Set the requested as true. All right, and then after that, we've set up our account creation options. We can then do, we've created the account, we've saved it to a variable. Now we actually need the link to log in, because if we just code as is currently, we won't actually be able to get a link for us to register and actually fill out our information. So all we have to do for this is we have to call the account link service. That's the account link service. Actually, should be service. Link service. And then on the next line, we will just go ahead and return the response that we're going to get from it. Return. So from that link service, we want to create a new link with some new account link creation options. Since we already have the account, we're going to pass this connect account. We just have to specify it by ID. Since it's newly created, we're just grabbing it from the object here. The downside of the way we're doing it here is we will always be creating a new account. In a production situation, you're obviously not going to be doing that. You're getting it from a database. But for now, we're just going to manually set the ID here. And then I'm just going to set my refresh URL and return URL to be localhost. And then I return the actual URL parameter that's on here. One thing that I will mention, I'm not using anything asynchronous here, just as ever. All of these methods and stuff do have asynchronous versions for you to use, but in this case, we're just using it directly. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. We're going to reboot our UI. I am unfortunately not using .NET 6 here, as this project was before .NET 6 was a thing. So let's go ahead and open Swagger, and let's create a new Connect account. So I'm just going to say, hey, let's do tester123 at example.com. So this is going to run. Let's see what we get back. We got missing parameter of type. Well, that's no fun. Where was it missing the parameter of type? Did I misspell express? Ooh, it's the wrong copy. No, it has express on there. So in the account link service, we actually have to tell it what type of account link we're creating. In this case, we are creating an account onboarding for them to register their account. So now that we have that, back here, once it boots up, I'm gonna go back to Swagger. Tester 123. Just gonna do a random thing there. And then what we should get back is a URL. So we can then take this URL and then in our front end, we can redirect to Stripe. So this is Stripe's onboarding panel. Whenever you are creating, whenever someone creates a new account with Connect, they need some information. We already gave them their email address, so this is already pre-filled for us. In this instance, I'm just going to, because we're in test mode, we can just use demo phone numbers. So we're just going to use the test phone number. This is making me log into an actual account because I actually have an actual account here. So in this instance, like if they were using Stripe Connect for, if they are say for both Lyft and Postmates, they could use their same login information with Stripe specifically to access their information. So we're verifying it in test mode. In here, we're just going to create a new business. So in most cases, it's just going to be an individual signing up. So that's what we're going to say in this case. but this is just them signing up for their whole account. We're just going to call it tester, tester trial, and then the pre-fills the email address. You then just need to insert a date of birth. So let's just say a random date that is in the 90s. It has to be the full year. Can't be the 2. West Lane. We don't have to actually put in real information. Actually, I actually do, even though it's in test mode. I'm just gonna put in an address that I know off the top of my head. That is in Springfield. I'm going to remove my thing there. So then we're gonna say we're in Missouri. I really would that thing would stop popping up. Hold on. Tools. Where is it? There we go. Okay, so then we obviously, because it's a identification, we have to put in 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have to put in a social security number because we're in the United States. In this case, I'm just going to put in all zeros because it's not actually going to check our identity this time. It's just, but normally, in reality it would. Our industry, we're software. We're just going to put it on the SGF Dev's website. SGF Dev. Yeah, so at this point, it's now essentially asking how we want to get paid. So Stripe by default lets all of their accounts be paid by or debit card. In this case, we're just going to have it be using a debit card a bank account for them to receive payments. And then it just has this lovely overview here. If there's any issues with the information we entered, they'll be like, hey, we need a little bit more information on you. Here, but then we're just going to submit. And then once it submits, it should just take us all the way back to the site because we did our demo. In here, if I actually go to our Connect portal, I have to re-sign in again and grab my password. So now we can see that tester 1 signed up successfully. This first one in here is just from us failing to register properly, but this one here is our actual account. We can see that they are fully registered. They're able to then start receiving payments, and by default, because of our settings, they now get every single day. So I'm actually going to copy this account number, and we're going to save it because we're going to be using it a lot later. Typically, in a production setting, you can actually set up webhooks for when everything is finished. So whenever you finish creating, when a Stripe account gets finished creating, you would then set up a webhook that will do anything that happens on Connect accounts for when their information gets fully submitted. That way you know as a platform or not their Stripe account is in good status, and also their account IDs and those things. But again, for the sake of this demo, we're just going to be hard coding in that Connect ID just because it saves us time. So, going back to Connect, now we actually will want to add on, now that we have that there, let's go ahead and create let's create a function for us to actually get that user ID so we can go ahead and manage our account. So we're going to do HTTP get here. We're gonna turn a string. It's just gonna be URL, so get login URL. So we'll need the Connect ID here, and then inside of this, we're going to return. We need to create a login service this time because to log into their account, and then we're going to create a URL. All we have to do is pass in the Connect ID, and then we're just going to return the URL. So when I rerun this, should be able to just refresh my Swagger. We now have our account login URL. If I and pass in this Connect account ID. We're going to then get this Connect login page. So I'm actually going to open a private window. We're going to go ahead and log in. So by default, because they have their phone number linked to their account, they'll now go in and they will enter in the 6-digit code that gets texted to them. Because we use the test number, it's just all zeros. And then here they can actually see how much they're being paid, what the activity is. Stripe actually just created a new mobile app, so it can be its own application. I only found out about this earlier today, which is really cool. As a platform, you don't have to worry about creating something like this because you're using Stripe. You can just direct them to do this if you're just getting things started. But in here, in test mode, I can't update these things. However, normally I'm able to update my email address and phone number that's linked into my account. I can also go in here and change how I get paid at any point in time, and I can also change any information about my business, as well as invite other people to be able to log into this account to view this information. So it's not just Express is not just for people where there's just going to be one. You can have it be multiple people. Again, all depends on the setup. There's a bunch of things you can do with it. It's very powerful. It's cool. So yeah. Any questions so far? I'm going to keep going, but I'm watching that in case anyone does have any questions, and I will stop the moment I see them. So yeah, that's kind of the basics of this. While I wait to see if there's any questions, I'm going to run us through a little bit of how our products worked previously. We've got to add all of our products to our cart. This just creates a checkout session asking us to fill in our information with our products that we entered in Stripe. Same thing here for the subscription. Very similar. We've got $5 per week subscription. We subscribe. And all of this is going to the platform, not the Connect account. And then we can also invoice for our platform. And this invoice, I think, is going to be like $26. It's got 2 products. So yeah. Oh, all right. I will pause as there is a question. Yes, you can code your own percentage of the cut. So today's instance, we are just going to be taking out a flat fee, but you can calculate how much of a percentage you want to take. So there is the concept of platforms with Stripe Connect, and essentially what you can do is you can then just calculate, hey, on this transaction, charging them, what's the percentage that I'm taking, and then just take that percentage cut. And just do that calculation. And we'll see a little bit more of that when we get down into the actual creation of that, how that works. So I can actually pull up the documentation really quick. My neck is hurt. That is the wrong link. Stripe Connect. Docs. I can't remember the links for it. Yeah, so on here under Stripe has amazing documentation, by the way. Not only are their API docs really good, but they're just like general great as well if you ever have any questions. So under the actual creation of charges, there's 3 different types. That's actually a great point to go over this. So tonight we're going to be primarily focusing on destination charges, which essentially I, the platform, am handling this transaction, but the money from this transaction is going to this account. And as a part of that, I want to collect a fee off the top of that. You can also set it up for direct charges. So while you, the platform, are managing the UI for everything, the actual payment fees that all come with Stripe are on the way to the actual Stripe Connect account holder, and not. You can still take a percentage off of that if you would like, and that just gets transferred back to you. But instead of it being you and transferring it to them. They collect the money, then you collect you skim something off the top that comes back into your account. You can also separate the charges and transactions entirely. So if you need to do something very specific, say you're creating a system where you need to collect payment, and then say for example, a food delivery service. You're collecting payment for the food delivery, and you're also collecting a tip either up front or afterwards. You can wait until after the delivery is finished to see if the customer tipped, and then if the customer did tip, you can then bundle everything all at once and send it off to the Connect account at a later date. You just have to set it up so that there is that link there from the transaction. But they've got documentation on how all this works. It's very good. This is kind of the example of the destination charges, the flow that we'll be going over. You, the platform, are charging the customer $10. That $10 comes into your account. And transfer the $10 to the Connect account. The Connect account pays the fee that you, the platform, have set. So in this instance, $1.23 is the platform fee. You collect $1.23 off of that transaction, and then Stripe takes out their fees, which is 59 cents in this case, and you are left with 49 cents left after everything. So now that we've got this login URL, we've seen that, I'm just going to copy the code for the sake of time. We're going to go ahead and add on a little section here for our setup. Let's see here. Where is it? It's on the index. Let's add our buttons in here. Do 2 breaks. There's room. We actually it up to our controller. I'm just going to copy the code out from what I had earlier. For the sake of time, we're just going to put it at the bottom here. I remember this differently. Create new Connect account. Perfect. And then so in this case, I'm just hard coding this in here, and let me actually grab the actual ID of our new Connect account. This is ideally where you would have it set up for pulling from your database. We're just hard coding it here. Now, we want to actually be able to collect the money from those who are using the platform. It's simple. We're just going to be adding on to what we already had last time. So let's start with our generic checkout. So in this case, let's go ahead and add a parameter on here. So we're going to just have a bool is for connect. I'm going to call it's going to be set by false by default. So it's an optional parameter. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to check to see if it's for connect, if it's for a Connect account. And in this case, I'm going to check to see if it's not a subscription, just because we're not handling subscriptions. All we have to do in order to add on to here to say, hey, this needs to go not to me, but to this account, we just have to update the payment intent data. All we have to do is update it with the amount that the platform is going to. So it's called an application fee. So in this instance, I'm just going to have us take $2 statically here, just because of how it's set up. It's easy to just take $2 off of every transaction, then try and calculate what it should be. I need to grab this in. So then after we set the application fee amount, we also have to set the information for transfer data so that it knows where to go to. So in this case, all we have to do is set the transfer data. The destination is this particular Stripe account. And then we're good to go. That's all that has to be done to this to actually support going to our account. So let's actually go back to our UI, and we're going to add a lovely little to add our products to the cart. I think I doubled up on that. Yeah, I did. Ooh, that's not what I meant to do. So let's save this. Let's relaunch our UI. So in here, we've now got our login. I'm going to go ahead and log us into the dashboard. This is the account ID. That's... Did it require me to have a real email address? Hold on. I think I told it to point to the wrong button. Log into account dashboard. Create new Connect account. Oh, that's supposed to be an email address. That is not correct. Let's fix. So this should not be calling create new Connect account. This should be get account login URL. Let's go ahead and log into our dashboard. We know that there's not going to be anything yet. However, we will see in a moment that there will actually be stuff there. Let's go back here. So let's go ahead and let's add all of our products to the cart. This now says we're grabbing our products. Let's gonna say this is tester123 at example.com. And then whenever you use, here's a list of test cards you can use that will always, this card particularly 4-2 repeated over and over again will always be as a valid card in Stripe during test mode, but they also have a bunch of different other statuses that you can use for whatever you're doing. If you need to like check to make sure that transactions get declined, or certain types of additional approvals that have to go through for certain different card types and different card issuers. They got a whole list of cards you can use. I'm going to go ahead and create our payment here. We can see it's successful. It's going to take us back to the website. We should then be able to go back into I have to pull up my password again because it does this every single time you log into the Stripe Connect portal. We now see that we have this lovely successful test. For trial, they bought the products. We charged $23. There was a net fee of or was a net fee of 97 cents for the platform, and we got $22.03. Actually, I believe there should be information in here on. Oh, why is it like that? I think I still have it open in incognito. I do not. I'm going to go back into Swagger and grab this login URL so I don't have to get logged out of both. Well, that's odd. It should have shown the transaction was being paid. Oh, you know what we did? You know what I didn't do? I didn't update the actual checkout URL to tell it, hey, we need to pay Stripe. We need to pay this Connect account. So in this case, what was it? Is for Connect. We're going to set is for Connect and is for Connect true. We should, I don't think, need to reload the UI for that. Where is... There it is. Let's go ahead and refresh. Yeah. Wait, hold on. Oh yeah, that is correct. So let's go ahead and do the same thing again. We're going to enter our test. We're going to enter the email that we used on this one. I'm just going to copy stuff over for the sake of time. 424242. Tester Cryle again. Springfield. We're going to pay. And let's go back to our payments. with additional successful payment. And we can now actually see that it did succeed and e-transfer. So in here in our admin portal, we can actually see that it was set to go to the Connect account, and we transferred the money, and then we collected a $2 fee on that. So if I go back over to our Stripe Express, we should now see that, hey, we earned $21 from this transaction. It's still not to us yet, but it'll automatically, because of how we set it up, it'll automatically be cashed out the next business day after it hits their account. So yeah, fairly simple, especially if you already have a pre-set up solution. You don't have to do much to add it. All you have to do is essentially say, hey, I need this much, I want to keep this much off of this transaction, and I need the money to go to this transaction. So let's quickly let's go ahead and wrap things up a little bit with let's allow us to actually be able to do the same thing or similar thing for our invoices. In this case, we want to be able to send an invoice to on behalf of the actual Stripe Connect account, and to we want them to process it and for us to take the money back. Or no, we want to process it and then send them the money. It's pretty much the same thing here. We're going to say if it's for a Connect account, we're just going to add on to our invoice options. We're going to take an application fee of $7.50. All of your Stripe, whenever you specify money, it's all done in pennies. It's not done in anything else. We're also going to say we're collecting this on behalf of a Stripe Connect account. This is their Connect account ID. And then we're just going to say, hey, afterwards, I want you to transfer this information, this money over to their account. I think that just because you're saying you're collecting on behalf of them, that's all you need to do. It is not. You do also need to say where it's, because you might be doing other things where you're collecting it on behalf of one person, but you don't want to pay that full person. It needs to go to a different person, then it goes there. So again, super duper easy. All we have to do is add that, and then in our actual front end, we're just going to add another button here. Go ahead and remove the 5070 there. We go back over to our UI. We now should see this lovely button once it loads. Enter invoice on behalf of Connect account. This is going to create an invoice for, I believe, $23 again. No, $26. We're doing 2 charges of our base product. Because for card transactions, they're allowed to do a card transaction here. We're going to collect that money. This is going to Stripe Connect account. I just realized. So let me do that again. I was using the I had set up earlier. So one more time. Generate an invoice on behalf of Connect account. But we're just gonna ignore that lovely fancy error and act like we didn't see that, because the point is still gotten across. You can create for it just as easy. If I go actually in here to the one that succeeded just now for the invoice, well, it is on a different Connect. We can see that we did collect $7.50 off the top, and in our balances we can actually that we got more money on here. So yeah, that's kind of the basis of Connect. It's a really great system. You can do a ton of different things with it. It's very, very customizable. You can change it up to suit your business needs. And so yeah, I think it's 7 now. So does anyone have any questions about Stripe or anything I've talked about today? Or just questions in general? Open to any of them. And I shall wait as there is a delay. The lovely, lovely delay lag. Anyone? Any questions online in the Twitch chat? Oh, hello, my developer. So I've been, I started coding way back when I was 10. But professionally, I started right out of the gate out of high school locally here when I was 18. I'm 20. So it's been about 4.5 years at this point. Oh yeah. Oh, personal questions. Tiffany, do you want to hop in the presentation room so it's easier and there's not the delay? But yeah, so I've been a developer for about 4.5 years. I work locally for a local company here called Code. I've been there for about 2 years now. So yeah, it's been about 2 years. I do a lot of project management work there. So yeah. Tiffany, you might want to mute yourself. Yeah, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. I was muted on Disc, but yes, I can hear you. Yeah, it's a weird setup. Oh yeah, Kirsten, I'm totally fine with them asking any questions they want. Okay. So, for those online that didn't hear, I started out working, or not working. I started out locally at the Career Center at OTC. I was 16, almost 17-ish. I enrolled in the program there. Yeah. I started out there. It was a wonderful 2 years. I did famously, as some people, I broke the registration system briefly because I was registered in the Career Center. I was registered in the Early Start program, which let you take classes early, before you had actually graduated high school, and then I also did dual enrollment classes, both high school and college credits. So I did all of that all at once. It was very chaotic. For the most part, though, I was just taking college classes from years of high school. I went to a lot of meetups here locally, met a lot of people, made some really great connections. And then from there, I worked for a local agency. I worked for the Marlin Network for about 1.5 years. Did a lot, learned a lot there. Your first dev job is usually a lot of learning on the job and just getting used to things. So I did that for a while. Then I went somewhere else, did some more focus on more front end stuff. Was there for a little bit, and now I'm where I'm at now. I've done a lot of QA since then. I primarily though now I do full stack web and API development. As well as a lot of project management and systems architecture design. And being able to be that career center when I was so young was it was very helpful. And Justin and Tiffany are both absolutely amazing teachers. Love them to death. Would not be here in the position I am today without them. So yeah. If you have any specific questions about my career path things, feel free to let me know. But that's kind of like the general brief overview. But yeah, now I do a lot of API development and project management, project planning, systems are planning out what different systems are going to look like. So yeah. So yeah, that's that. Let's see here. There's I can't think of anything else more specific about that. So for the delay lag to come through for the next questions. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm unable to be there in person right now just because I am high risk for COVID. So I try to limit my exposure to public spaces. But even after tonight, if you guys have any questions, any of the students or anyone else that's there, feel free to hit me up in Discord. I'm always in the chat. Yeah. So for those that are online, it was asked, have I done any previously continuing education applications or continued past my associates at OTC? Nope, not really. I finished out my associates at OTC. Really, I was 2 Gen Ed credits away from finishing when I graduated high school, and then just life happened, a chance to finish them, but then I eventually got around to finishing them. Didn't really have that much of an impact on my career too terribly much, just because I already experienced and had been networking. Excuse me. But I haven't really done any like other things. I do not plan on pursuing a bachelor's just because school is not for me. Very much so does not work well with my a lot of the time. But I am currently working on getting a Scrum Master certification, but that, which is project management stuff. But other than that, I haven't done anything else outside of that, education-wise. I will say though, like, the decision for me, like not continue to like a 4-year degree is very much, it's very much a me thing. But like, there's nothing wrong with not pursuing a 4-year degree or nothing wrong with doing a. It all just depends on where you want to go and what you want to do. Someone asked if I had any advice right now, high school, career center students, just students in general, for what they could be doing to supplement their coursework or what they should start thinking about job-wise. So, really, my only advice there would be to start networking locally is really great when it comes to like trying to like find out what other people in the area do and what things locally you might be able to get job-wise. But if I had any advice for particularly like just preparing for a job, it's that, and I'm sure Kirsten has said this before, you may have heard it before, but your first job is very much so an extension of school in a way. And so continuing to find things that you really like and playing around with different technologies and just messing around with things online is great. I know there's so many different like tools and things. Firebase is actually one of them. One of the things where I was just messing around during my schooling, and I was just trying to find what new tooling things were happening, and I happened to stumble across Firebase, and I realized I really enjoyed it, thought it was a really great tool, and I started learning more and more of it in my free time. Granted, not all of us have time to do extensive side projects and things, but just keeping up with different technologies that are happening. You just have to know everything about all the new things that are happening because, oh my gosh, just look at front-end web dev. There's so many things happening constantly. Messing around with a bunch of different technologies until you find something that you're like, ooh, shiny, I like this. And then digging in more. And that's really all I have to say. It's probably not I don't know if that's the best advice or good advice, but that's been my experience of how is just find things that I really like and sparks joy, and then just messing around and having fun. Not necessarily having the goal to like create something at the end, but just to learn more about it. Any other questions? Twitch chat, you got any? Twitch has been fairly quiet this evening. Oh no! The Discord's not. Oh, there it goes. There's the bot. Alright. I think that's it, unless, Tiffany, you have any other questions in the room. Oh, okay. Perfect. What is it? Shoot. Yeah, so, I don't... Yeah, okay, so for those in Twitch chat, the question was asked, between, like, PayPal and, Stripe, where do those all kind of compare to each other, and which one do I prefer? Honestly, I haven't done a whole lot of research into the other. I know Stripe is generally kind of tailored towards more developers that are needing to build solutions for clients, whereas while Stripe has like greatly in more recent years, and particularly this past year or so, has great better about their in-person payments. Stripe previously was almost exclusively online only. Their terminal system, it's still very new. Not a whole lot of people use it. So Square is typically used, from my understanding, and I could be wrong. Square is generally used for like a lot of small businesses when they need point of sale systems in their actual physical locations. And PayPal, while it once was probably a very big payment processor for certain types of businesses, it has kind of fallen off in most recent years, and I've looked into integrating PayPal, and it has nowhere near as expansive and broad docs as Stripe does. Stripe is kind of like it's become a very industry standard. Like they've got so many different things, so much shit that I haven't covered today, that you can do both with Connect and their other services. Stripe is kind of they're at this point, now that they have their like in-person terminal system, I think they can probably be considered like the one-stop shop for everything payment processing you need now. Wasn't always the case, but kind of is now. I would recommend using Stripe over PayPal for most instances if you're just like a small business, like you just need to send an invoice to sell money on like a contract, or if you're doing contract work or whatever, PayPal works really good because it's just right up there. It's quick and easy. So is Stripe, but like if you already have PayPal set up, go with it for that. But anything more complex than like sending a custom invoice or a contract, I generally would probably say Stripe is the better option. And then if you're doing in-person payments, Square probably is still the best for if you're centric only, but if you have an online platform, Stripe was probably your best bet there. Any others? I should have grabbed some water before I started this. Very awkward stream delay. Lovely. Very awkward delay silence. All right. Well, if that's it, if anyone else has any other questions, feel free to hit me up on the Discord. Just post a message in the channels. If you got any questions, or if you be about Stripe or .NET or Firebase or whatever, or career questions, I don't mind answering it all. So yeah, that'll be it for me. Thank you guys for joining. Sorry I wasn't there in person. I know some of you were expecting me to be there in person. But it is what it is. If you got any questions, again, just feel free to message me in the SGF Devs Discord. Yeah, have a good night.